Nintendo just dropped one of the biggest Nintendo Directs of the Switch's lifespan. They showed off games coming to the Nintendo Switch in the second half of 2024 and even some in 2025. Now, with Nintendo confirming that they will reveal their next console in the beginning of 2025, what does this whole June 2024 Nintendo Direct really mean for the future of the Switch? What is up, guys? My name is Chase, and oh boy was that June 2024 Nintendo Direct an exciting one. Nintendo came out of the gate swinging with a brand new game in the Mario and Luigi series called Mario and Luigi Brothership. Mario and Luigi was a series of RPGs very similar to, say, Super Mario RPG or the Paper Mario series. However, while Paper Mario was mostly on Nintendo's home consoles, Mario and Luigi games lived solely on Nintendo's handhelds. These games brought over a lot of the familiar gameplay mechanics we know from Mario's other RPG adventures, such as free roaming worlds that have some platforming, NPCs that you can talk to, and the turn-based battles with different action commands. However, specific to the Mario and Luigi series, you could obviously play as Mario and Luigi. And this usually resulted in the Mario and Luigi games having some little gimmicks that made use of Nintendo's latest handheld, whether it was switching between the top and bottom screen of the DS in Mario and Luigi Partners in Time, or using the bottom screen of the 3DS to affect the gameplay on the top screen in Mario and Luigi Dream Team. So with all of that being said, the reason I think it's such a big deal that there is a new Mario and Luigi game coming is because in 2019, Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story plus Bowser Jr.'s Journey was released for the Nintendo 3DS. And this was a remake of the original Nintendo DS game Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. However, due to many different factors, including the fact that in 2019 the Nintendo 3DS was dying a slow, painful death, while the Nintendo Switch was becoming quite popular, it caused the developer of the Mario and Luigi games Alpha Dream to go bankrupt. And it was at that moment that I thought we would never get another Mario and Luigi game ever again. So it is very exciting that we are finally getting a brand new Mario and Luigi game over 5 years after the last remake game on the 3DS, and almost 9 years since the last original Mario and Luigi game. So I'm really interested to see how this Mario and Luigi game comes together now that Alpha Dream is no more. It's also interesting because this is the first Mario and Luigi on a home console, so they don't really have any gimmick to make use of like they did with the dual screens on the DS and 3DS in the previous Mario and Luigi games. Then Nintendo continued to deliver the goods with Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. This is a remake or remaster of the original Nintendo Wii game, and I'm super excited to see more Donkey Kong representation on the Switch. Pretty much the only Donkey Kong focused game we've seen on the Switch is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, and that was basically just a port of the Wii U game released in 2014. But the interesting thing about Donkey Kong Country Returns HD is that this will ideally be the very most definitive edition of Donkey Kong Country Returns. In the original Donkey Kong Country game on the Nintendo Wii, you had to shake the Wii remote just to get Donkey Kong to roll in the game, which is a lot of effort for something you do pretty much constantly in a Donkey Kong Country game. Then some years later, Nintendo brought Donkey Kong Country Returns onto the 3DS of all things, and this had its pros compared to the original Wii game, mainly that instead of having to shake the Wii remote in order to roll, now all you had to do was press a button like pretty much any other normal video game. However, the 3DS version did have its flaws. Apart from the fact that it is the 3DS, so you are going to get some crusty ass graphics, the frame rate on the 3DS version took a major hit compared to the Wii version. So it basically became a double-edged sword where you had to choose which one you prefer, shaking the Wii remote with smoother gameplay, or just pressing a button with choppier gameplay. But finally, our prayers have been answered, and ideally with the Nintendo Switch version of Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, we will hopefully have the best of both worlds with just button presses and smoother gameplay. Nintendo also went on to reveal a brand new Super Mario Party game called Super Mario Party Jamboree. And from the gameplay trailer that they showed, it seems that they took some of the criticism with the original Super Mario Party game and at least tried to improve it with Super Mario Party Jamboree. I still can't get used to that name. For example, a big criticism with Super Mario Party was that all of the boards that were included were basically just a square or circle. You would just go around and around in these different environments, like it wasn't anything too crazy or special. Now in Super Mario Party Jamboree, there is like a shopping mall map where you can go up and down escalators, or what looks like a Mario Kart themed map where you drive in carts. I mean, I think we might have PTSD of combining Mario Party games with cars. But hey, I take this as at least it seems like they're listening to the criticism of the first Super Mario Party game. It also seems like they are somewhat combining Super Mario Party and Mario Party Superstars, because included in Super Mario Party Jamboree are 2 classic boards with one from the first Mario Party game and one from Mario Party 2. And because of that, it did make me a little confused why they didn't do like Mario Party Superstars DLC instead or something like that. But hey, hopefully Super Mario Party Jamboree is a nice addition to the Mario Party series and improves on the previous game. Now, the one thing I do worry about with Super Mario Party Jamboree is whether or not they're going to do the silly thing that they did with the original Super Mario Party and require you to use one single Joy-Con on its side. That was never my favorite thing with Super Mario Party, and I always find using a single Joy-Con to be like, it's fine to play games like that when you're like in a pickle and you only have a single Joy-Con to use, but it is far from my preferred way to play games on the Switch. So hopefully, fingers crossed, Super Mario Party Jamboree fixes that, but I guess we'll see. Then, in my opinion, the biggest surprise from this Nintendo Direct was the reveal of a brand new 2D Zelda game. I believe this actually got leaked before the Direct, but luckily I live under a rock and I didn't see the leak. Zelda? A 2D Zelda? So this brand new 2D top-down Zelda game is called The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, and it features the sort of miniature toy type of art style from the Link's Awakening remake on the Switch, which I absolutely love. Like, I feel like they could make every top-down Zelda game like this and I would be so happy. But this is the first time we're seeing this art style with a brand new Zelda game. Also, it's the first 2D Zelda game since A Link Between Worlds in 2013, almost 11 years ago. There was a part of me that was a little bit worried that Nintendo might ditch the 2D Zelda games after the major success of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, so I am psyched that we are getting a brand new 2D Zelda game. And actually, this game is quite literally a Zelda game, because for the first time ever, except for this weird fever dream, you get to actually play as Princess Zelda in a Legend of Zelda game. So instead of wielding a sword and shield, you're basically able to use a copy ability to copy all different kinds of objects and baddies and all kinds of stuff. It's really cool. It'll definitely be a different and unique approach to a Legend of Zelda game, so I'm very interested to see what the gameplay is like, and I'm honestly just excited to see a new 2D top-down Zelda game in the cute art style. And Nintendo saved the best for last with the first ever gameplay trailer for the long-awaited Metroid Prime 4. Metroid games, much like the Legend of Zelda games, have become quite few and far between, with the previous Metroid Prime game having been released nearly 17 years ago. Granted, Nintendo has surprisingly been showing Metroid some love with Metroid Dread and Metroid Prime Remastered on the Switch, but Metroid has always felt like the more niche, hardcore Nintendo game, which I think gives it its smaller, die-hard fanbase. So getting our first glimpse at a brand new Metroid game was a great way to close out this Direct. Much like Metroid Prime Remastered on the Switch, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond seems to have some incredible looking graphics, especially for the Switch's standards. And from the very brief look we got, it seems like Metroid Prime 4 is going to have some interesting and unique environments and creatures. With a 2025 tentative release date, I actually wouldn't be surprised if Metroid Prime 4 Beyond comes out on the current Switch as well as Nintendo's next console. So these are quite some heavy-hitting major games coming to the Nintendo Switch, but with Nintendo's next console coming in literally about a year, what does this all mean for the current life of the Switch? Well, first of all, speaking of Metroid Prime 4, it really does feel like the end of an era now that we've finally seen an actual trailer for the game. You see, when the Switch was originally released in 2017, Nintendo was trying their darndest to avoid the dumpster fire that was the Wii U. So they packed the first year of the Switch with major new releases and announcements, and that included the reveal of a Metroid Prime 4 being in development at E3 2017. But oopsie doopsies, in the coming years, Metroid Prime 4 would see continuous delays and even having to restart development from scratch in 2019. So for 7 whole years now, we've just been wondering when, or even if, Metroid Prime 4 would be coming out. But now that this 7-year-long mystery may finally be coming to an end, it feels like all the loose ends of the Switch are being tied up. This Switch chapter may have a happy ending. It's also very admirable just how many big first-party titles we're getting in what might be the final years of the original Switch. This is the complete opposite of how Nintendo ended their more recent systems' lives. The Wii U basically crashed and burned within its first year, so by the end of the Wii U era, Nintendo just kind of threw Breath of the Wild on the Wii U alongside the Switch version just out of obligation. Meanwhile, with the 3DS, you could tell that Nintendo was just kind of throwing games on the system just for the sake of trying to make more sales. If you thought Switch ports were bad, some of the final 3DS games included ports like Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn, Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, and Luigi's Mansion. By the end of it, Nintendo even admitted that they had planned to release more 3DS games, but ultimately decided to stop development because of poor sales. So the fact that we're getting a brand new Zelda game, a new Mario Party, and a new Metroid Prime game as possibly the final games for the Nintendo Switch, I think Nintendo is doing a good job at ending the Switch's lifespan with a bang before they reveal the successor in 2025. And hey, if you want to see my recap of a bunch of different Nintendo Switch 2 rumors, make sure you check out the video below. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of the June 2024 Nintendo Direct and what was your favorite part. For now, thank you so much for watching. My name is Chase and I will see you guys again soon. Bye.